Welcome to Tenacity with Sonia C, the podcast where entrepreneurs, founders, and ambitious professionals come to learn from those who have walked the path, navigating challenges and achieving success. Whether it's thriving in business, pivoting, scaling for growth, fundraising, or finding work-life balance, dealing with loneliness, adversity, or overcoming personal struggles. Our guests share the insights and strategies that have empowered them to level up. I'm your host, Sonia, and let's get started. My guest today is Michael Levitt. Michael is the CEO and founder of Breakfast Leadership Inc., a leading authority on burnout prevention and recovery. Today, Michael shares his deeply personal journey of overcoming burnout, rebuilding his life, and dedicating his career to helping individuals and organizations thrive without sacrificing well-being. This episode is filled with actionable advice to help you prevent and recover from burnout. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am awesome. Really looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome. It's Friday, so it's always a good day.
It's one of my favorites. You can't spell Friday or favorite without the letter F, so it's a good day.
Before we start, can you tell our audience where you are located?
I split my time between San Diego, California, and Toronto, Ontario. Diverse, different cities, but a lot more in common than a lot of people think. But
So, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
sure, yeah, my journey with this organization that I launched several years ago started off based on burnout, and I had my own burnout journey back in 2009, so coming up 15 years now. I had a pretty significant bout of burnout, and it cost me almost everything, including my life. From a heart attack to job loss to losing my car, being repossessed and my home being foreclosed. It wasn't a fun year, 2009 and 2010, nor was it for a lot of people because that was during the Great Recession. So a lot of people were definitely struggling with that. And I certainly was too. And after rebounding from all of those significant losses, I decided, okay, how do I want to approach this? How do I want to live life and continue living? What do I need to do? And what do I need to adjust? And I made those adjustments in my life. And after doing that, noticed that a lot of my colleagues in a lot of different sectors were going down the same path I did. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this. So I started talking with people about it and writing about it a little bit, started doing little talks here and there about why burnout isn't a good thing. And this was, back in 2015, 2016. And then from there, a colleague of mine said, you probably have a consulting business here. You should probably, branch this out a little bit more to create a bigger impact. So that's what I did. And then, same colleague said, launch podcast. I'm like, why? Why do I want to do that? And, that was in 2017. And coming up on 700 episodes later. So it's one of those things where it's like, wow, I didn't expect that to last as long as it has. And I'm thrilled because you get to talk to amazing human beings. You know that. It's a wonderful opportunity as a host to, bring amazing people on your show. But as host, and this is a spoiler alert for people that don't recognize this that are thinking about a podcast, is as the host, you learn things too. And I take notes all the time, whether I'm a guest or interviewing someone. It's a wonderful opportunity to, get one-on-one time with people, and that's kind of hard to do with social media and everything else that's going on. So long-winded answer to, who am I, what do I do? And, I've been, doing keynote talks and writing and publishing and hosting my show for several years now because I don't like burnout from a personal standpoint, of course, but I hate what it does to society and to individuals and families and companies. It's just a horrible thing that a lot of people are dealing with.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that a little more. I love what you said about podcasting. I know that when I started the podcast, I just wanted to sort of give to the entrepreneur founder community something that I had struggled with during my journey of building a startup or launching a startup. And you're right, it's been so rewarding for me. I did it for other people, but I've gotten so much out of it. Just the conversations. I meet people that I would never normally have met. And
Hmm.
it's like I've now built this whole network of people that are like all over the world. And I think that's amazing.
For entrepreneurs, it's such a wonderful platform for people to learn, and
Yeah.
it's it's fine point where with search, whether you're using a search engine or using AI now, you can get, I'm looking for a show on this to talk about this, and it's going to give you a bunch with the links to directly go to them. And I highly encourage people to do that because
Yeah.
that's how you grow.
Mhm.
That's how you learn things. It's like, I don't know how to do it. That is no longer an excuse.
Yeah.
It should have never been an excuse. You can learn it. It's so much easier to learn about things now than it ever has been before.
Okay, let's talk about burnout. Can you share a little more detail on your personal journey through your burnout in 2009 and how those experiences shaped your approach to preventing burnout today?
Yeah, and frame this kind of in an entrepreneurial way because even though I was an employee, I was treating this role that I was in as if it was my company,
Yeah.
which entrepreneurs do. It is your company. So that's how I approached it. And I did that because, and this is one of those things that happens with people that burn out, they overcommit themselves to doing things that are actually a good thing to do, but we don't establish boundaries of when we work and when we don't. And that was a big problem, and I know a huge problem for a lot of new business owners and startups, and even you're into it a couple of years. The hours we put into these roles is insane. I joke with people that say they want to quit their regular job and launch their own business. I said, so you're trading the 9 to 5 for the 6 a.m. to midnight job. And they look at me like, I wouldn't work those hours. Like, you say you won't, but once you realize what needs to be done,
Yeah.
you realize, okay, and we all try to do things quicker and shorter and compact it instead of spreading it out. And that's what, gets us in trouble because when we go out on our own or we launch our own business, the whole idea, I think, for most people anyway, is to generate revenue. And you need to generate revenue in order to
Yeah.
pay for the things in your life, your rent, your mortgage, your car payment, your TTC pass or Go Pass or whatever, whatever you buy, you need revenue and money to come in. So if you're a business owner, that's a little bit more amplified because you're the one generating it. So for me, in this role, I was working really long hours, the 6 a.m. to midnight. I was doing that for 7 days a week for a couple of years because it was a startup organization, much like a new entrepreneurial business, had to hire staff, recruit people, educate the community why our service was better than other services, and it was a nonprofit as well. So it had a board of directors, and that board was very proactive, as many nonprofit boards are, and for-profit ones for that matter, but they were really proactive in wanting this thing to grow because it was going to be a great organization for the community, helping people out. And I'm sure there was a bit of an ego boost for them as well, and
Mhm.
for me. I wanted to be the person that brought this to life and grow and thrive so I could be viewed as a pillar in the community. So there was a lot of good things that would benefit by this being successful. But unfortunately, I didn't establish some control around when I was available, when I wasn't, when I was working, when I wasn't. And it just was constantly working. And that took a toll, and that led to the health issues and, the domino effect of the heart attack and job loss and car repo and home, all those things happening because I was burned out. I was making mistakes at work. I wasn't clear-headed. I was trying to do too much at once. I wasn't delegating. I just wasn't living life the right way. And we see this time and time again, especially with solo entrepreneurs or small businesses that don't have a big staff. It's like the work needs to be done. You don't have enough people, so everybody picks up more. And it gets to the point where you overcommit and overwhelm yourself to the point of you're doing so much, but you're not accomplishing enough.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where, well, this has to be done. Well, yes, but does it have to be done right now?
Yeah.
Pick the things that need to be done now. Pick a couple things a day, max, and do those really well. And over time, you'll discover you'll get the revenue, you'll be able to expand and grow, or you'll fine tune what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get there, then that's not the final destination, but that's like, okay, now what do we do with this? It's a constant nurturing and growing of it. It's much like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Our kid can walk and speak and eat on its own. Great. Your job's not done. Okay, there's a lot more to need to be done. At different times, your creation, whether it's your work or a child or a relationship, needs additional things. So you have to continue to evolve and grow with it. And sometimes we get in the trap of, okay, it's where it wants to be, and I don't have to do anything else with it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you can't do that. You got to continue growing.
Yeah. So, what are some early warning signs or signals that individuals should be aware of that tells them that they are reaching burnout?
Yeah, the first one that I see a lot is, how's your sleep going? Is your sleep, unless you're somebody that has chronically bad sleep, then that may not be the situation. But for most of us, we sleep okay. But if you notice you're not sleeping as well, you're not sleeping as much, you're tossing and turning, that's a big, big warning sign. And it's also very dangerous because your body, because it's not getting good, restful sleep, isn't able to repair the damage that we do to ourselves on a daily basis. I don't
Mm,
care how healthy you are, how well you eat, or how much exercise or activity you get in, or, you know, relaxation or mindfulness or anything like that. I don't care if you do all of those things, we're still doing damage to ourselves. And if that damage doesn't get repaired, then what happens is it gets piled onto the next day's stress and damage, and then the next day and the next day. And burnout is prolonged stress. That's what burnout is. It's prolonged stress. You're overwhelmed. You can't keep up with the demands of your daily lives,
mm,
which you can go into a room of 100 people, and I'm going to guess 9 out of 10 people will raise their hands and say, are you feeling this right now or have recently? You're going to see it all the time. And it's because we have created this world, unfortunately, where we're constantly bombarded with information and stimuli and smartphones and attention grabbing things and commitments and all of that. And it's just coming at us at every angle. And we don't have these boundaries around just kind of stepping away from it and focusing on singular things.
mm,
We're if we're watching television, we're on our phones. If we're driving, we shouldn't be on our phones, but we might be on a phone call or listening to music or whatever, or getting upset with traffic. And at work, you're doing a ton of different things. So we're overwhelming ourselves every day with things, and we don't have enough time to just kind of pause and do nothing, just to let our brain kind of take a breath. And with entrepreneurs, and I see this in other sectors too, but I see it a lot with entrepreneurs, is our brain has gotten into this mode of constantly creating ideas or concepts or potentially anxiety or fear on things. What if I don't land that client? Or am I going to get that presentation in time? What are they going to think about this? Or, oh, I want to do this. I saw this tool. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so we just keep piling and adding on. All we got to do is look at our inbox. There's, you know, dozens or hundreds or maybe thousands of messages in there of things that we quote unquote need to get to, but do we?
yeah.
And I think it boils down to getting crystal clear on what you need to do today.
Yeah.
Today, not tomorrow, next week, today. What can you do today that can make tomorrow a little bit easier or move initiatives forward? You focus on those things. So sleep is definitely a big impact. Secondly, is when you're not resting and you're overwhelmed in all of these things, you can be forgetful, or you can start making mistakes. You may not see things on a spreadsheet, or you may submit something that's completely wrong. Depending on your sector, if you're wrong at something, that could be really problematic. If you work in healthcare and you make a mistake, someone could die. So, no pressure, but you got to be on your A game, and healthcare is definitely one of those sectors that has seen a significant spike in burnout and stress amongst clinicians to the front lines. And because they were been overwhelmed for a long time, in these last few years certainly wasn't any easy year for
Mm.
those people because they didn't get to work from home necessarily. They didn't get to take time away. They were front and center. And that was really problematic. So sleep, fatigue, overwhelmed, you're making mistakes. Another sign that we see a lot is you are more irritable than normal. You might be a grumpy person by nature. I don't think you are, but there are people that just naturally are prone to being grumpy. That's okay, that's one thing. But if they're irritated by the smallest thing, like seeing something on the floor or getting upset because a toddler didn't put their spoon where they left it, or a coworker didn't send that report on time. Now you got to work later. Yes, they upset you, but if you're getting like fuming mad and wanting to, yell or scream or hopefully not physically get upset with people, uh, that gets amplified when you're under this prolonged stress. And that's another sign that I see a lot is people are really just short fused on everything. And
Mhm.
then finally, just the brain fog, the lack of clarity, not being able to make a decision and just basically frozen and not able to uh, just function as well as they could. And when you have many of those components together, it's definitely a recipe for some big problems.
Okay. So, what can people do to prevent themselves from reaching a state of burnout?
I think one is you got to get crystal clear on how you spend your time.
Mm.
And for some of us, that's not too difficult, especially if we work in an industry where we have to track our time. Like if you're in legal or finance or accounting and you have billable hours, you're used to tracking your time in a work situation, but you don't typically do it at home. So understand, how you spend your time. Kind of do a deep dive on how you live. Don't be critical of yourself. Don't be judgmental. Just document your time. Just observe and see. You might get some insights you don't realize. Wow, that seems like that's a lot of extra steps, or why do I do it that way? You figure out how you can flow through life better. That'll make a big difference and just making things easier for you so you don't get stressed out or don't create situations that can cause you stress.
Mhm.
Another big thing going back to the sleep component is I always encourage people to spend as much money as they can on the best mattress, the best pillows, and the best bedding for them. I know a lot of people love spending a ton of money on the brand new smartphones or new televisions or gadgets or whatever. And those things are all great. I have no problem with them. I'm a consumer of them too. Don't worry. But instead of spending so much money on that, and I know money is very difficult for a lot of people with inflation and everything else, but spend more money on the mattress that is really comfortable for you. Like if you go to a resort or you've gone on vacation or you go into a hotel room, most of the hotel beds feel amazing. Like, oh, you sleep and you're like, oh, this feels great. Well, it's because you're tired from the flight or whatever, but it's still a restful bed. You can emulate that same type of bed at home,
Mhm.
and you should. You
Yeah.
figure out what is comfortable from the bedding, the pillow, the temperature, room, darkness, you name it. Get all of that set up. Set up your room like it's a resort. Yeah, it might take time to do it, but do it because in that way, every night you're giving yourself a fighting chance to get a decent night's sleep. And keep the smartphones and technology out of the bedroom. Go buy an alarm clock. They still sell them. It's tempting because the smartphone is a multiple thing device. We can do everything on the things now, but unfortunately, it the light from those phones trick our brains to thinking it's still, daytime and we should be awake, and it's a distraction. And it's like just put it out of the room. It's don't worry about it. If because a lot of people think, well, what if somebody calls in the middle of the night? Why are you getting calls in the middle of the night? That should be infrequent unless you're an on-call physician or something like that. Then, they're still using pagers, so
Yeah.
that's not a big deal. But there's not a lot of people that need to have their phones in the room. So get good sleep. Make sure that you get control of how you spend your time so you can look for areas to add. what I like to call me time or self-care time.
Hmm.
And that's doing things in life you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Because when you're busy and you're burned out, what's the first thing that gets kicked to the curb? The fun things, the things you like to do. Like, I don't have time
Yeah.
for that. I'm too tired for that. And these are things you like doing, and
Yeah.
they stop doing them. And that's the worst thing you can do. So make sure you do those things every week. I don't care how busy or how many hours you do, even if it's like you have a coffee date with your best friend every week. Okay, maybe you got to cut it back to half an hour instead of an hour or even 20 minutes. Even if it's just a little bit, you're still getting that excitement and enjoyment of just being able to be there. And you'll notice a lot of things that we do that help reduce stress are singular in nature. So all those things you like doing in life that are joyful, they're singular. You can't multitask. Don't like, let's say you like going canoeing or, driving a boat or something like that, or riding a bike. Okay, that's great. You're not on your smartphone while you're riding your bike. Now, if you are, you're likely going to run into somebody or run into something and hurt yourself. So more and more, I'm telling people, find activities where you can only do those things and you can't do anything else, like reading a book. Buy a Kobo or a Kindle that doesn't have an internet browser or anything like that. You're reading. That's the only thing you're doing. And I think people will find that when they're singularly focused on things, they get to be fully present in those things, and it just makes life so much easier. So those are some of the things you can do to kind of be on the lookout for burnout, and some things where you can kind of at least pause it. And the deeper work, of course, on burnout is once you recover from it, and you can recover from it quicker than many people think. But the deeper work, and sometimes it's difficult work, is figuring out why you burned out in the first place.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of the work that I do with people and teams is like, okay, how did we get here? And what can we adjust to make sure that we don't do this again? Because my burnout journey, I certainly don't want to go through that again. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. So I made the necessary adjustments in my life to make sure that it never happens to me again.
Right. So how can you went through your own personal journey,
Hmm.
and everyone goes through burnout and they sort of deal with it on their own. They have to figure out where it's coming from and all this stuff. But how
Hmm.
can leaders and managers effectively support their teams in recognizing and mitigating burnout risks within the workplace so that people don't get to the point where they're burnt out? Companies can help in that way as well.
It's very important. Doesn't matter how big the company is. Bigger companies, it's very hard for the CEO to know that Jim in marketing is burning out, but Jim's manager should. It's getting to know your people, and obviously there's boundaries around personal information and work situations. But I, I think about it this way: remote work or even in-person work or a mixture of the two, most of our waking hours are spent in a work type situation. Usually it's in an office or maybe it's remote, but you're still interacting with your coworkers and your management during the day. Hopefully not at night and on weekends, unless that's when your shifts are. But ultimately, is as a manager or a leader, it's up to you to learn how to observe how your employees are doing, not just from a performance and work things and deliverables and all of that, but how they are personally, because you know people, you work with them. Pay somewhat attention. It's not difficult to see if someone's off or they're not quite themselves or maybe a little irritated. And you can ask, is everything okay? Is there something you want to talk about? And I know a lot of managers don't feel comfortable about that, but if you can listen, just listen. I'm not asking you to be a therapist or anything like that. Just listen. Listen to understand, not to respond. Listen to understand what they're going through. If you have some guidance or something you can say that you think would help, then do so. If not, then advise them of whatever type of support they have within the organization, whether it's through the benefits program, mental health services. So one of the benefits of today is there's no shortage of access to certain things. There's apps help text is something that I work with, which really supports people in a text-based thing. So it's more anonymous. You can respond right away. It's not this, I got to go book an hour long appointment with a therapist kind of thing. It's a text. You're sending texts all day anyway. So here's something where it can help people out. And there's a ton of services like that,
Yeah.
online therapy, you name it. And I highly recommend that everyone get a therapist. And the reason why I say that is every one of us have something in our life going on, either now or in our past or potentially in our future, that's impacting us.
Hmm.
And to be able to talk it out with someone that can guide you on how to navigate that is a mentor. A therapist is a mentor. They're helping you kind of see things from outside of you
Yeah.
perspective. And when you do that, it's eye-opening. I've worked with a therapist for several years now, and it's been a game changer for me because one, it brings to light some things that I'm not seeing clearly. It brings to light a lot of the BS that I'm telling myself and brings it out going, no, that's BS. That's not fact. Your ego's trying to get in the way there. This is actually how you're behaving. This is why you're doing this. Here's
Yeah.
some things you can do to adjust. It's all about personal growth and being the best version of you
Yeah.
for you. Because if you're the best version of you, life flows so much easier. And
That's still you doing the work and you going out and realizing you have burnout and
mhm,
finding a therapist. My question was more focused on as a company. So I'm a company and
yep,
I want to get to the point where I avoid my employees from getting burnout so that they can be at their best at work and in
yep.
their personal lives. Are there things that aside from your manager keeping an eye on you and having a conversation with you, are there things that companies can put in place, processes that will help employees on a day-to-day basis where it can avoid burnout?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. One is coming up with whatever system works for everybody, whether it's a CRM system or using Slack or ClickUp or all the online tools. Basically to create a way where everybody knows where everything is as far as work is concerned, as far as the status of projects or anything like that. Also, it's really important for people, and this happens a lot to the all-star employees. You're really good at what you do. We're so happy that you do all these things. So here's a bunch more work for you. And it
Mm,
overwhelms people. And as somebody that used to not delegate to somebody that delegated anything and everything I could, the key thing you have to do is keep track of how much you're delegating and spread it out. It doesn't matter what the size of the team is. Don't give everything to the all-star just because they're great, because you're going to overwhelm them and burn them out, especially if they're not confident enough or don't feel comfortable approaching the boss and saying, "You're giving me too much work. You're overwhelming me. I'm burned out. I don't know which one is a priority. Everything cannot be priority one, and
yeah,
you're not giving me clear instructions." So, clarity is king. You have to, and we're all guilty because managers, we have people delegating to us or telling us things that we need to do. So it's a balancing act. And I think the more open communication you can have, the more, I don't want to say, load up your day with all these tracking tools and things like that, because you'll spend all your time tracking things and no time doing things. So you have to find that fine balance that works for everybody and gives you the information that you truly need. You don't need it all. It's nice that you can get all that information, but keeping track of what you delegate to your teams, making sure the workload is manageable, make sure the instructions are clear, make sure that they have the autonomy, they being the team, to ask questions in a non-judgmental way, because you want them to be successful. As an organization, you should want your people to thrive and grow and be successful, because that's how your business survives and grows. So you want to make sure they're at their best. And how do you do that? You ask them, what do they need? Get to know them a little bit. And when you do, if something is declining a little bit, you'll notice it earlier on and you can address it. Because if you're not aware of it, next thing you know, one of your star employees that is critical to this next project up and leaves because you overwhelmed them and burned them out, and you didn't pay attention to that. So there's many, many ways to keep on top of that to prevent companies from burning their people out.
Okay. And my last question, because we're coming on time, is so I've realized I'm burnt out. I
Mhm.
something happened to my body or I can't sleep, all of the things we talked about. What are some of the steps that an individual can take aside from, finding a therapist? Are there some practical everyday guides that I can go and do and search in order to overcome the burnout?
Yep. One exercise that I have people do, I call it the bucket list, and it's different from the one that a lot of people are familiar with, which is these are all the things that I want to do before I die type of thing. This one is a list of things you like doing in life and you enjoy doing, and it can be as big as going to shopping at Eaton Center to as little as just walking a trail or going for a bike ride or reading a book or going to have coffee with friends or just sitting out on your patio or balcony and just drinking your favorite beverage. Those are things you like and enjoy. And I have people list all these things out, and then I have them write down next to them when the last time they did those things. And when you're burned out, you'll be surprised that a lot of things that you enjoy doing, you haven't done in a long time. And it's important for you to do those things every week, every day, as much as you can. So schedule them
Yeah.
because what gets scheduled gets done. You can go on your calendar. You've got plenty of appointments and meetings. So schedule this stuff in too. You can. You can control how much you spend your time. A lot of people think that's silly to schedule have coffee in the morning. It's like that's just something I normally do. It's like, yeah, but if you schedule it, you're telling your brain, okay, this is an important meeting. So you're going to be more present for it. And yes, there's going to be times where it's busier for you, or there's going to be times where you're not going to be able to do as much as you normally do, but at least do something.
Mhm.
And start with that, rekindle those feelings of enjoying time. Keep your smartphone away, keep it in the pocket or put it on silent mode and just be in the moment, even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Just taste that coffee or taste that tea or taste that margarita. Whatever you're drinking, I don't care. But taste it, feel it, and be present with it because those are glorious moments and they're little minutes here and there. But when you start doing that and you have a few of those throughout your day, it helps you mitigate the stress easier. It's not going to eliminate stress.
Right.
Stressful situations, stressful workplaces exist because that's what stress is. It's going to happen. What you want to do is be able to mitigate it and manage through it or around it so it doesn't become prolonged. And then that way you start feeling a little bit better. And then from there, you can start looking at, okay, why is this important? Is it important for me to work in this career or do I want to change something? And that's where having a mentor is really helpful because they can give you a list of things that you may not see or say, no, actually you're really good at this. You just forgotten how much you enjoy doing this. And, getting back to that clarity thing will help a long way in helping you recover from burnout and prevent it from ever happening again.
Okay, that's really good. I think we covered the the basics of it. Uh, but we're out of time. So thank you so much for joining me and sharing a little bit about your burnout story. And I love that you've taken, a stressful situation and turned it into something positive. And now you can share with, and I think burnout is one of the biggest problems in the world. And I also think a lot of mental health we're seeing a lot of mental health issues come up now. And I do think a lot of it is due to burnout. So I think it's important for people to understand that they're reaching burnout because a lot of people don't. And then what to do once you realize that you're burnt out. What do I need to do to step back and heal from the burnout, right? Instead of continuously doing it and just ignoring it until like you end up having a heart attack and really having to start from the bottom up again.
Yeah, it's something I hate people having it. I hate seeing it because it robs society of great people doing great things, and we need that. And if we can get ahead of it and help people prevent from reaching that burnout state, we're all going to benefit from it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate your time today
Thank
and
you.
enjoy your weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Michael for joining us today and sharing his journey from being burnt out to building a life of balance and purpose. It's an inspiring reminder that it's never too late to take control of your well being. And that's a wrap. To our listeners, thank you for joining me on this journey of learning, growth, and inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform and connect with our community on social media. I'd love to hear your feedback, so leave a review and let me know what topics you'd want to explore in future episodes. Remember, the future belongs to those who embrace challenges, adapt with tenacity, and keep pushing forward. Keep growing, keep pivoting, and most importantly, stay tenacious in your pursuits. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you more insightful conversations in our upcoming episodes. This is Sonia signing off, but as always, keep chasing your dreams with tenacity.